and I'm not able to say anything, and I'm sitting back and being very, very patient, it became something that I didn't understand because of the amount of moments that we had together.
But you used the word hurtful.
Now, you saw what Kyrie did there. He said it became something that he did not understand because of what they had experienced as a team. That was an allusion to LeBron and his lapdog, James Jones, once again. Kyrie's basic sentiment is we should all be better than that. We knew that this breakup was coming. Really, you guys are upset because I'm the one who initiated it and not you. You wanted me to conduct myself like another underling who was just going to smile and take it. And you got surprised when you got outmaneuvered. So that's what Kyrie's really talking about. He's talking about LeBron and his boy James Jones.
What was hurtful? Specifically, what are you talking about when you say it was very hurtful? What was hurtful?
It was hurtful to see that a lot of the reports and a lot of the things that were happening, there was minimal truth to it. And a lot of the character issues that some individuals tried to tirade about me. And it's not that it matters. It's just that the fact, what is the intent behind it?
Once again, he's referencing James Jones. All right. I did a video on that because James Jones basically came out and stated after LeBron helped hook him up with a job in the Phoenix Suns front office, all of a sudden James Jones started to spill the beans on Kyrie not speaking to his teammates for a certain period of time during the playoffs, I believe in the first round. And Kyrie's basically saying, why are you doing that for? Are you trying to imply that there's a correlation between me not speaking for a certain period of time and me demanding the trade? Maybe I was just in my own thoughts. Maybe I was focusing on the playoffs. Right? That's Kyrie's basic sentiment there. James Jones really is not even a second string player. He's a third string player. He really should not even be commenting on the situation.
Is that what this has turned out to be? To turn someone's decision into a full-on, let me get everything out. And that's why I brought up past players, and I brought up current players, and I brought up a lot of, in the sports journalism world, which I respect a lot of people. I don't respect everybody, but I respect a lot of people, especially in the sports journalism world. I felt like that is not what it was based on.
And he shouldn't respect most of these clowns in the sports journalism world because most of them don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Most of them are just a bunch of fanboys with laptops. You know?
And that's not what connects people to sports.
But do you understand that when you say you've made this decision and going to Boston, title contender, they were in the conference finals last year. So we're going to get into that because that puts pressure on you. They better get back to the conference finals. They got Kyrie Irving now. Oh, that's how people are looking at it. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that when you decide to depart from a team that just went to 3 straight NBA finals, where you are at the very least the co-star, and you've openly acknowledged that you didn't communicate at all with the man before you left, meaning LeBron James, you understand how that can be construed. So when you look at these reports, who do you blame for it all? Is it the media? Was it LeBron James' camp? Was it somebody else in Cleveland? Because you and your representation was very private. When you spoke to them privately, y'all didn't let that out, and somebody else let that out. So who are you pointing the finger at?
No one. Who cares?
Exactly, sir. Exactly, sir. Look, whenever you eradicate a relationship, whether you're the one who initiated it or the other person, at the end of the day, it's over. When a building burns down and everything inside of the building is incinerated, it makes no sense to stand on top of the pile of ashes and reminisce on what you used to have in there. All that shit is gone. It doesn't matter what started the fire. It doesn't matter what was in there. As long as you're alive to walk away from it, leave all that shit behind. All right? People will accuse Kyrie of being evasive. Kyrie's basic point is, why am I going to sit here and speculate and hypothesize on something that I can't prove? Why? So you guys could use me for another news cycle for and add to your add to your narrative about me versus LeBron. Now, I believe that Kyrie has issues with LeBron in regards to LeBron's attempts to manipulate the media and LeBron's perception in regards to what has happened in this situation. But I think that Kyrie's attitude is, I'm 25 years old. My best years are ahead of me. My future in regards to becoming a transcendent player are ahead of me. I don't have time to quibble over little silly shit in regards to, which bitch tried to set me up. Who cares?
Right. Honestly, who cares? Right. Man, my sole intent was to be happy throughout all this.
That's right. Like I said, brothers, you got to be happy, man. You got to be around people who want to make you happy. All right? You get with a woman, you have to want her to, you have to want her to want to make you happy. That's the woman's role. She has to want to make you happy. And you have to want to make the Most High happy. And you have to love that woman, respect her, honor her. All right? Do everything that you're supposed to do in regards to that. And she has to want to make you happy. If the woman or your homeboys or your colleagues at work don't want you to be happy, you must leave that environment. All right? Don't worry about why somebody does not want to make you happy. That shit cannot be taught. Somebody wanting to make you happy or wanting you to be happy, that's not something that can be taught. Remove yourself from that situation as soon as possible, man.
That was it. And I felt like that was getting tossed under the rug in terms of who I am as an individual.
Are you happy now?
Oh, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, and you could tell that he has a lot of optimism.
You're looking forward to the opportunity to be the primary ball handler?
I'm just
Look at Molly giving Kyrie the body language.
looking forward to playing my position. I'm looking forward to becoming something that I've always envisioned myself being, and that's being a complete point guard on a great team.
Absolutely. You could see Kyrie is ready to show what he can do. I believe that he believes that he can do everything that Steph Curry can do and has done, and he wants to be able to show it. He wants to show that he's just not some second fiddle weapon, which is basically all he's been relegated to in Cleveland.
I want to be able to come off pick and rolls and be able to dissect the defense and be able to have guys that, this is not a knock on anybody that I was playing with, but my role was completely different. And I relished in that role. And you have other individuals saying that, and he's on this show now, and his humble opinion is all.
See, he could sense that Kyrie, man. Kyrie's very, very perceptive. He could sense that Max Kellerman, the Caucasian liberal Jew, he was hovering over his shoulder, proverbially and literally, waiting for his chance to come in and put the hammer down.
As always, he's a one-dimensional man, and he's not making his teammates better. But if you have an assassin and you call me this specific weapon, utilize it. I'm not just this one-on-one individual that wants to go one-on-one every single time down. That's not how I appreciate the game.
And that's why he's leaving Cleveland, because that was the extent of their offensive game plan, right? The schematic of their offense was give it to Kyrie or give it to LeBron, let them go one-on-one, dribble, dribble, dribble.
I've watched a lot of basketball, probably more than a lot of people have realized. So
go ahead, Max.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Max.
Well, we could get into that if you want.
Every time Max is supposed to speak, Kyrie puts his head down and sighs, because he already knows that some multi-syllabic buffoonery is going to come out of this man's mouth to really try to hide the fact that he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He's just trying to bluff you. He does the same thing with boxing. Max is one of these guys, and you see it a lot of times with the liberal Caucasian Jew. They get engrossed in a certain culture, whether it's a sport culture or a music culture, and they try to usurp the people who created the culture. You see it a lot with the Caucasian Jew in hip hop or jazz or rock and roll or sports, basketball or football or boxing or what have you. They think that because they can tell you more about that certain venture or that subculture, that it authenticates them even more than you. You see it a lot with this other dude, Michael Rappaport, right? Because he's one of these wiggle white boys who goes back to listening to 80s hip hop. He's one of those guys who thinks that he could out Negro you. It's the same thing with Max Kellerman, in a different way, of course.
What I have said about you is that I've seen you be an excellent defender, but I don't see you choose to play defense all the time. and I know you have passing skills, obviously, and are able to get the ball to other players, but usually it's an ISO. You're saying, and I've also said because you're deployed as a weapon that way, but I also don't see you play on the other end. That's been my criticism.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't understand how you're a basketball kind of enthusiast, or however you want to call it.
In other words, you're just a guy in a suit and a tie. You're just a fan in a suit and tie on TV. You're not an expert. Basically, Kyrie said, what qualifies you to speak about me? That's basically what he's trying to say in a very diplomatic way. Like, what credentials do you have to speak about basketball in regards to what I do on the court?
But he tried.
I see. And the understanding of the game is a lot deeper than what meets the eye. And if you understand the game, you can understand that. And when you see a player that's able to have some of the talents that I've been blessed with from my mom and dad, which I thank them for every day for meeting in Boston, and able to put me on this earth to be a very, very special individual on the court and going to perfect my craft. And I had to figure out a way how to still be effective without having the ball in my hands. And that was the biggest transition that I had to make right off the rep, whether I liked it or not. And as you respect other people's greatness, that also shows how great you are and how you incorporate yourself in a collective group.
In other words, when LeBron came, Kyrie had to play off the ball, and he showed his greatness and that he took a position that was not his natural position in the shooting guard and became a relatively dominant shooting guard in the NBA at 6'2", averaging 25 a game and being their clutch scorer down the stretch of games.
With special talents around you. So now it doesn't necessarily become about you. And I never wanted it to be. But it all became about, let's nitpick this particular point and this particular thing. And I felt like that was just unfair.
You getting into some deep basketball stuff. We coming back after this. We going to break, Max. Let's come back after this. We going to get into some basketball.
Later in the show, Jerry Jones responds to reports that he's getting in the way of Roger Goodell's.
All right, so we're back with Kyrie Irving and Max Kellerman going at it. Kyrie is clearly exasperated. He clearly has mentally prepared himself for the gauntlet that he would have to run in enduring Max Kellerman's rather simple-minded, but in Max Kellerman's mind, deep basketball questions. So let's see how it goes. How this goes, I should say.
We got a four-time All-Star NBA champ with us, Kyrie Irving, sticking around still, kind enough to be here. Max, you had a question you wanted to pick up where we left off, right?
Go ahead, Max.
I did. I just want to say, Kyrie, the takeaway that I have, and you may say I'm mistaken, but I believe I won't be alone in this takeaway from this interview so far, is that you've reached the point in your career and life where staying with LeBron James would hold you back in terms of fulfilling your complete potential as a player. Or that there's some personal problem with LeBron James. I know you said, why does it have to be about one guy? Because if you're playing on the Chicago Bulls, it was about Michael Jordan. You're playing on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. It's going to be about the relationship with the second best player on the team to LeBron James.
No, sir. No. I think that Kyrie has already adequately explained why he wants to leave the team. And these are things that I've been saying about the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James for the entire season, really for longer than that. When LeBron James comes on your team, you must play the LeBron system. Every team that LeBron James plays on, they play the same system, which is the LeBron James system. Kyrie Irving has correctly analyzed, and I've stated this numerous times already, that the only system that they're able to play is basically 2 against 5, which is LeBron, another great second player who can score in the clutch when LeBron can't score. Everybody else just sit outside and hope to make a three-pointer. Kyrie knows that will not beat the Golden State Warriors. Kyrie's analysis of this of these facts are that if I'm going to not win a championship, I might as well move on to a team where I can actually learn something about the game of basketball and maximize all of the skills that I have. It has nothing to do with a personal issue per se with LeBron. Do I think that he has issues with LeBron's personality? Yeah, I do. But I think that he'd be able to put that aside if he was being enriched in regards to basketball knowledge and acumen with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He knows that he will not be. He knows that there's nothing else left for him to learn there. All right? It's not a personal beef and all this other stuff. Just because somebody wants to leave a team does not mean that he has a personal grudge against the quote-unquote best player on the team.
Am I wrong in that assessment?
He's already told you numerous times that you're wrong in that assessment, Max. So why do you keep asking the same question over and over again and getting that bug-eyed look like you're trying to restrain yourself from telling him that you believe he's a stupid nigger?
I just think that you just care entirely too much.
In other words, Max, you're lame. All right, that's basically what he's saying. You're lame, and you basically you're a TV hoe. Just like you got YouTube hoes out here, running around trying to troll. You're basically trying to troll Kyrie.
Like, it's just, I get it. I get it. Ask the questions. Relationship. Here it is. But you keep forgetting that basketball is a team sport. I'm around different players all the time. I understand it's 1-2, 2-1, however you want to slice it. In terms of, there is no personal issue. There is no, let me figure out what's going on. Let's dive in, and maybe we're missing something here. I made the decision as a man. And as a man over there, Max Kellerman, just respect it and leave it alone.
Here's my deal.
Kyrie's about to curse him out. Kyrie's like, look, dude, man, I already told you about five different ways I've answered your stupid ass question. All right. I told you it's about personal growth. I've moved on. Look, man, you do your 8 years in elementary school. You don't hate your elementary school teachers and your elementary school principal because you're moving on to high school. All right. You graduate high school. You go on to college. You don't hate your high school teachers and your high school principal because you've moved on to college. All right. It's a part of a processional growth. If Scottie Pippen had the opportunity, he would have left Michael Jordan. I have little doubt about that because he was very curious in regards to how great he could be and what he could do leading his own team. He found out after a year and a half that it was more pressure and more stress that he could deal with, and it was more, it was more than what it was worth. It was more trouble than it was worth, and it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. All right, he couldn't deal with the downside. He wanted the glory, Scottie Pippen I'm talking about, but he couldn't deal with the downside. He would have left if if the overall business architecture of the NBA was what it is now. All right. Kyrie just wants to go out there and venture out on his own and find out who and what he can be. That's a part of life. It's not just about hating somebody. All this, this soap opera narrative that these guys want to promote.
How important is winning to you? I'm going someplace with this. How important is winning to you?
I've been winning I've been on the search and on the journey of winning at every level I've been at. And that's always in the back of my mind.
I asked you that question because let's talk basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We look at what you had in Cleveland. Not just LeBron. Kevin Love, by the way, got a lot of love for you now. Got a lot. We filmed a commercial together. Yeah. Got a lot of love for you now. Tristan, JR, the crew, they got a lot of love for Kyrie. I'm telling you, a lot of dudes ain't happy you gone now. You know that. And you're leaving all of that. And you're going to Boston. Avery Bradley's gone. Isaiah obviously is gone because you're there. Crowder's gone because you're there. You got Gordon Hayward, who's a bad somebody. He can play now.
Yes, sir.
You got Al Horford. He can play. But Avery Bradley, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, all gone. So people look at it and say...
And you combine Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder's all-star games and finals appearances, and you get a big donut. All right, Stephen A? A big donut like the one that's around the back of your neck.
You're going to a somewhat worse situation. To that you say what?
Oh, I can't wait to make my teammates better.
And beyond that, Stephen A, ESPN does not believe he's going to a worse situation because they have Boston ranked over Cleveland in regards to their prognostications for this upcoming NBA season.
I can't wait to be with those individuals as well as Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge, and being in an organization that I'm truly appreciative for taking a chance because they gave up a lot. They gave up a very special player in Isaiah, a very special player in Jay Crowder, They gave up the big Ante-Zizic and as well as 2018 first-round pick.
Yeah.
And when you look back on it, it's like, wow, man, you got to take a moment and marvel in that, because to honestly make that happen with Danny Ainge sitting in the seat and allowing me to partner with a intellectual brain like Brad Stevens, who knows.
You see what he did there? I told you guys. Kyrie's been taking little shots. I won't say shots, but he's basically just been dropping his assessment of Tyronn Lue throughout this entire interview. He does not believe that Tyronn Lue's offense is imaginative enough to keep him mentally stimulated. He wants to learn from Brad Stevens. And beyond that, remember, Danny Ainge was a guy who played throughout the 80s. He knows and knew the dynamo that was Isaiah Thomas, and how much you need a guy like that to win championships. And now you have a guy here in Kyrie Irving who could be this generation's Isaiah Thomas. So we'll see.
Great coach, great young coach.
That's aside from the X's and O's. That's just an instant.
Max, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you in a second, Max, but I got to go this route. Money. Look at where I'm going. You're in the midst of a $90+ million contract or so, but Kyle Lowry, 3 years, $100 million. Steph Curry, 5, $207 million. Chris Paul turned down about $200 million. Russell Westbrook's got $217 million on the table that he could sign any day that he wants to from Oklahoma City. How much, if at all, was it a factor that even though you got a couple of years left on your deal, you're purviewing the landscape, you're looking at that money factor and wanting the best position yourself to get what you deserve? Because out of all of those guys I mentioned, only one's a champion, and that's Steph Curry. Other than that, you're the one with the chip. But those guys are signing the contracts. Talk to me about what factor, if at all, that played in.
Why would that play a factor? When his time for his contract comes up, it comes up. The money's always going to be there, Steve. Come on.
Can't put a price on happiness and truth, Stephen A.
I agree with that, sir. That's why you have a lot of these so-called entertainers and multi-million-dollar assets out here killing themselves and drug overdosing or getting drug overdosed. A lot of these people out here miserable with all this money in the bank account.
I waived my $5.6 with a $5.8 million trade kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
5.8.
a lot of that clearly does not matter in terms of what my intent ultimately will be and always has been, and how I see myself further in my career in this great NBA that we have. And I get to be with some guys that I'm going to have to get to know again, and I'm a full-blown new step in my whole entire journey. So.
Go ahead, Max.
Kyrie, Stephen A.
Once again, every time it goes to Max, Kyrie puts his head down, man. Kyrie's like, oh boy, here we go with this bullshit again.
We'll talk about LeBron and when you were on the Cavs and in this last playoffs, and say he's not trying to hear it, how good the Warriors are. They won 73 and added KD. LeBron James has Kyrie and Kevin Love and other parts. He has enough. He doesn't want to hear any excuses. Go get it. How do you feel about the Celtics right now, your presence on the Celtics, what they have now, based on their talent and your addition at this moment? What are the expectations in terms of how far you can go this year?
The expectations are that if I'm Kyrie, I'm saying that the expectations are that we want to win game one, which I believe is against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You take it one game at a time. Nobody trying to get caught up in all of these extravagant prognostications. That's you guys' job at ESPN. Who gives a shit?
See, that's the kind of difficult question that will be asked throughout probably the entire season until we form our identity as. Right,
you have to coalesce as a unit. That's what it's about. The same way when LeBron first got to Cleveland, you guys had to find your team identity.
As developing players such as Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon, Al, myself, Marcus, Terry Rozier, and we can go down the line, but only 4 guys from last year's team that I played against in the Eastern Conference Finals are returning. So this becomes a totally new journey, and you have to see it as that. I have the expectations, and I know that we all share that as a group, but we don't know about each other at all. And the only time we have to figure that out is through training camp and throughout the season. And that's the difficult part, because in being on a championship team that went from 2015 to 2017, and Bron coming back, and we have Kevin, and we have to reshape, and we have veterans, our 2015 with Sean Marion, Mike Miller, Brendan Haywood, and we have an older team, to getting Swish and Shump, and now we all have to figure out how we collectively mesh with one another. So now you take that same formula that I had the unique opportunity of being a part of and observing every single day, and you apply that into another cultural environment that has a culture that's existed for years, and now you try to put your imprint on it.
There you go, sir. Perfect answer. Perfect answer, to the point where Stephen A. decided that he was going to come in and cut Kellerman off. It's all a process, and that's what Kyrie meant when he said that, or when he basically said that Max just doesn't understand the game. But like I already said, Max just looks at these guys as for purely entertainment value. He doesn't look at them as human beings. All right.
I'm going to say this to you, because I try to be as honest as I possibly can be always. No matter what you say, there are going to be people looking at you sitting here today, and they're going to believe you're in the situation that you're in. You are now a Boston Celtic because something happened between you and LeBron. With Gordon Hayward, with Al Horford and Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, you're going to bring that noise to Boston, because now it's not just about LeBron. The three biggest stories in the NBA very well may be the Golden State Warriors. We'll look at Oklahoma City too now that they got Paul George. It's going to be Cleveland. And it's going to be Kyrie Irving in Boston. Not Boston, not the Celtics. It's going to be Kyrie Irving in Boston. Okay? Because you're not a scrub. You are a star in this game. So because of that, are you prepared, or how prepared are you rather, to deal with, unintentional or not, how prepared are you to deal with the distraction that you are going to be just because you're that good and you decided to leave Cleveland and you ended up in Boston?
How could it possibly be a distraction that the man has decided to go out and pursue his destiny? You don't worry about that. I mean, when a lion makes a kill, is he distracted by the vultures that come down? No, he's worried about eating his meal. You don't worry about all the sideshow shit. I mean, when you talk about the three biggest stories, that right there is media terminology. That's what you should be concerned about. It's not Kyrie Irving's job to be concerned about media narratives for the season. It's his job to be concerned about, as he stated, bringing the team together and concentrating on the first game of the season. That's it.
Honestly, Stephen A., I didn't hear anything that was reality-based.
Thank you, sir. And let me say this. This is the first time that I'm watching this entire interview. I saw a little bit of the first segment. I said, let me just leave this alone. I'll get back to it when I get back to it. Nothing that Kyrie has said has surprised me, because I pretty much already know his personality type.
And all of that. I didn't hear one thing. I heard noise. I heard distraction. And then there was one important thing that I think that she failed to realize, that the Boston Celtics have existed without myself. Prior to me getting traded there, there is no Kyrie Irving in Boston. There is the Boston Celtics that exist as a cultural, iconic franchise that now I'm a part of. You're thinking about guys that have laid their hard-on sacrifice and sacrificed their time with their families to put championships in those banners in the ceiling, and I'm just trying to join that same lineage. There is no such thing as the whole distraction. I live a very much real life outside of all this.
Oh, I'm not talking about you. I'm
just saying. Look at Molly. Molly's falling in love. Oh my God, you're so woke. I just really you think it's possible that me, you, and Andre Ward can all go out for drinks?
I'm just saying that
distractions are real, though. You do know that. Come on now.
Oh, if you're very much woke, there is no such thing as distraction, especially all this.
Okay. I like that. I can learn from that answer.
That works for me. Here. And he's not going anywhere. When we come back, stop me if you've heard this before. A great fight ending in controversy.
Right. But, Kyrie, he states that he's woke. I believe that Kyrie just basically understands that there are traps and stumbling blocks out there if you're looking for them. And if you're not wise in regards to people's motivations, which is to cause drama, to bring confusion, Most of these reporters are agents of chaos. You know, like I always tell you, brothers, you got the woman who's an agent of chaos. You have you have many of these media members who are agents of chaos. They like to stir up things. They like to bring forth narratives, concoct storylines and delusions. That's how they get paid. I thought, once again, Kyrie's answer at the end was brilliant. He said, I didn't hear anything that was reality based. All I heard were your delusions, your concoctions. Why would I be concerned with that? Why would I allow something that you guys make up in your heads to dictate to me how I view myself, or or anything that I'm involved with, where it can possibly go? That's just not intelligent. But anyway, peace.